what is written in the law. Because Jesus knows that this person is a lawyer. If you're a lawyer, you know the law, in and out, top to bottom, the depth with everything, the whole 9 yards. So what is written in the law? He replied. How do you read it? He answered. I want you to notice this. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind. I mean, that's exactly what's the Mosaic law. That's the Old Testament in a nutshell. That's exactly what the entire New Old Testament was written about. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, with all your mind. I mean, this guy knows his Bible. I mean, this guy knows the Old Testament, the Mosaic law. And then, love your neighbor as yourself. Wow. He's indeed an expert of the law, because that's exactly what the law says. Verse 20, you have answered, Jesus even recognized it. You have answered correctly. Jesus replied, do this and you will live. Ito na, sana natapos na to eh. I mean, I wish the conversation ended there. I wish it just stopped there. But, verse 29, but he wanted to justify himself. Why? Because he knows that he's supposed to love God, and he knows that he's supposed to love his neighbor. But he was looking for you know what lawyers are? They always look for the loopholes. They always look for the crack. They always look for the other side. So, but he wanted to justify himself, so he asked Jesus, who is my neighbor? And that's pretty much where the parable of the Good Samaritan starts. Okay. 3 things. Before I go on into the parable of the Good Samaritan, I just want to stress one thing here. We all have opportunity to reach out to our neighbors. And when I say neighbors, this is not just our kapitbahay, our co-worker, our families, our friends. No. When I say neighbor, the Bible defines neighbor as someone who is in need. That's pretty much. I don't want to go technical about it, but the Bible simply says that whoever is in need is our neighbor. Our neighbor could be 10,000 miles away from here, but that person needs help, and that is our neighbor. A missionary who is in Africa, who is in need of help to buy supplies for the kids. I mean, those are our neighbors. So that is exactly is our neighbor. Whoever has need is our neighbor. That's why the lawyer is justifying who is my neighbor. Because I don't want to love everyone. I don't want to love anyone. But it's very, very clear. Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. Okay. So I just want to be clear here that whoever is in need is our neighbor. As Christians, we are called to be a reflection of Jesus. And what a better way to be a mirror to show grace and mercy to those in need. The opportunities are all around us every day. I don't know if you're, if you've been into America, you're probably aware that we got a lot of emails, we got a lot of messages, people asking for help. And I recognize that. But we also have to be aware that some of these are just pretty much like a scam or fraud, and so they just want to get our money. But setting aside those facts, if someone asks us for help, we have 2 choices. Either to help this person, or we do not help this person. And that's the choices we have. Either we help those who are in need, or we don't help those who are in need. Those are the 2 choices. And that is very, very clear, very, very clear in the Samaritan story. We have a plan. Sometimes we have a plan to help, and we just need to take action. That means gathering all of the right tools together and starting the work. Sometimes, as I have said, we should set aside money in our savings for the purpose of helping. So I don't want to go back to our budgeting here, but there's a percentage for tithes and offerings, there's a percentage for mortgage and apartment, there's a percentage for gas and premiums, there's a percentage for insurance, there's a percentage. So in our budgeting, there's got to be a percentage of help. Meaning, we set aside money for the sole purpose of helping people. And I think that's very, very, that's a good steward of our money, because, Lord, I set aside $100 a month to help people. I don't know who or what their circumstances are, but I'm setting aside this money just to help people. Not my family, not my friends, but people in general. So when people come, hey pastor, do you have spare? I just need money for gas. Which is very common. I mean, someone will approach me and say, Pastor, do you have $20? Do you have 20, $50 or something? Yeah, because I always set aside money for that. And I think that is a good steward of our money. We always set aside money to help people who are in need. My last question, Pastor, what about those people you see in and out, or those in the freeway? It says, need money or touch your heart or something like that. I always have, when I was still working in Thousand Oaks, I always set aside a daily bread and $1 in my car. Every time I see them, I always just, hey brother, or hey sister, just give them a daily bread, and I touch them $1 or $2 or whatever I have. It's always there. That's why in my wallet I always have singles. And also always have $100, just in case the need is greater than $1, then yeah, I have $100 to share, to give. So basically, we need to have a plan. Always help, okay? We cannot say, wala eh. Wala akong pera, pastor eh. That's the worst thing we could ever think of. If you're working and then you're in America, you belong to the top 1% of the global economy. Do you have any idea that the top 1% in the entire world, this is not my statistics, but this is the World Economic Council. The 1% of the entire world earns $24,000 a year. You believe that? If you earn more than $24,000 in 1 year, you belong to the top 1% of the entire world. My gosh. Parang hindi ko maramdaman yun sa California. $2,000 parang just my apartment is only $2,500 already. How can I even survive? Yeah, but just give you statistics here, okay? Just give you statistics. If you're earning $24,000 in 1 year, you belong to the top 1% of the world economy. Okay? And if you are, okay, once again, I just want to be clarified here. Let us not be cheap in helping people, okay? We always help. That's why it's always correct to set aside budget for helping people. If you set aside $50 to help anyone who is in need, if you're not out of $50, that's it. That's it. I already used my $50 for this month to help people, and that's it. That's honoring to God. But set aside money basically for the purpose of helping people. So we have a plan. Having the right tools can make or break the project, and as believers, we've been given some divine tools to help us. It's also important that we are aware of the people that we are helping. But basically, Galatians 5:26 is very, very clear. Help one another, especially what? Especially who belongs to the family of God. I mean, we are given the priority to help those who are in the family of God. That's very clear. It's not favoritism. It's basically what the Bible says. Help those who are in need, especially those who belong in the family of God. Sure, if you're part of the community of the family of God, you already have the priority for help. I mean, that's pretty much it. That's already given. If you belong to this community, we have budget to help you, okay? Don't be ashamed, Pastor. Wala mong pambayad ng apartment eh. There's no need to be ashamed. Talk to me, talk to the leaders of the church, and we will help you. No question asked. Hindi namin, ito, kasi garbo-garbo mo eh. Panay-panay ang kain mo sa restaurant, kaya hindi ka, we won't say that, okay? We won't even say that, okay? Just let us, Pastor. Kaya na lang, pero wala mo mabayad eh. We will cut you a check. We have budget for that. And you won't hear anything from us. Okay? We're doing this because we love you, because you belong to the family of God. That's what the Bible says. Make a plan. Stick to the plan. Okay, so we set aside $1,000, so we give $1,000 to one of the members of the church for apartment rental. And then a second family, Pastor, kami lang, wala na tayong budget for that eh. Ano gagawin natin? Could you just wait for a few days and then we'll just kick in the next month? If not, we'll just take an advance from next month. Okay. So what I'm telling is we have a plan, we have a budget, and we have to just to do it. That's how we help one another. You probably know Jacob is already in Clovis, and so when you're a first-time medical student and you have your own place, you need a lot. You need rice cooker. You need a lot of stuff. So he needs table, and so we bought him this sofa bed. Okay, so maliit lang ho. It just matches his small place. He has a one-bedroom place. So we bought it. Okay, this is a sofa, just in case a visitor come and visit him. And we also bought him a coffee table. So it just perfect fit for his small place. Okay, so I saw this in Amazon, and wow, it looks good. It's a sofa, and at the same time a sofa bed. So just in case you want to sleep over, you just pull out, and yeah, you have a full mattress. We did try to sleep there. It was memory foam, so it was good. It was good. It was not. Now, the problem is that thing was shipped in 3, 4, 5 boxes, and it only comes with this tool. I don't know if you remember this. Okay, but it only came with this tool, and I was thinking, oh my God. And it comes with pages and pages and pages of instructions. And how do you fix this from this picture to all of these boxes with only this? Anyway, to make the story short, we did fix it. Took us 3 hours just to put everything in using this. So in order for us to really be used by God, we must have the right tools. We must have the right tools. What are the tools we have? We must have time. We must have the money in order for us to help people. Now let me go to the second scripture here. So we have to be clear that we have all the opportunity to help. Every one of us here have the opportunity to help. That's already given. Verse 30, replied Jesus, and the man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and he fell into the hands of the robbers. They stripped him off his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. Okay, so we know the scene. There was this guy who was beaten up, robbed, half dead, laying in the street. Verse 31, a priest, a religious, a man of God, a one who reflect, who basically is a representation of God to the humankind. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, what he did? He passed by on the other side. Okay, a priest. Depende natin, a pastor, okay? Pastor Andrew, okay, passing by, nakitang may half naked, nakahilata sa kalye. Anong ginawa ko? Ay naku, parang addict yata. Parang homeless. Umiwas na nga ako. So basically, that's what happened. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the men, he passed by the other side. And then, verse 32, so to a Levite. What is a Levite? A Levite is also part of a religious family. They are the one who works inside the temple. Paano may mga sakristan, may mga CWL. But basically, they dedicate themselves in the church. So basically. So to a Levite, when he came into the place and saw him pass by that his side, okay. And here's the kicker. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him, bandaged his wound, first ate the God, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man in his own donkey, took him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day, he took out 2 silver coins. Wow, 2 silver coins. That's a lot. That's roughly about 10,000, well, depending on the inflation, but that's a lot. 2 silver coins, and gave them to the innkeeper. Look after him, he said, and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense you may have. Okay. I have so many things to say in this passage, but let me just. Here is a Samaritan that doesn't know the guy, but I think this is what I'm going to share. You already have in your heart whether you are reaching out or not. It all begins in the heart. If in your heart you don't want to help, no matter what circumstances there are, you will not help. Because in your heart you already said, I will not help. But when you said in your heart, I will help, regardless of the inconvenience. Just imagine the inconvenience this went through. He's a total stranger. I mean, he doesn't even know if that is even a trick or a fraud or whatever it is. He went there because he has pity on this person. He went in and bandaged, gave him first aid, helped him, took in his donkey, took care of him, put in an innkeeper, paid for all the expense and all these things. I'd like for us to have this, we must learn how to reach out. The one thing we have to learn is this. When we reach out, we do not expect something in return. The guy is still recovering. He barely remembered anything. He lost everything. But there is this Samaritan person who is helping him and paying all of his bills and everything. This good Samaritan doesn't expect anything in return, but out of the abundance of his heart, he reached out. Here's the difference. As I've said earlier, we only have 2 choices. Either we choose to help, or we do not choose to help. That's pretty much it. Church, I'm pleading you, pleading to everyone, let us learn to reach out. We are blessed in our church. We are all working. We're all doing good. But it's not a reason for us not to develop reaching out if everything is okay. Because outside these 4 walls, there's a lot of people who needs our help. When the lawyer heard about the priest and the Levite, he probably expected Jesus to say next, the common Jewish man came along and helped. But Jesus shocked the men by saying that the enemy, a Samaritan, was actually here. So why was a different story? I mean, generally, the priest will help, the Levite will help, but not a Samaritan. So why was Jesus telling this kind of parable? I mean, I've read a lot of books and I've read a lot of theologians' perspective of this. But let me just give you my personal opinion here. The people who will help us the most are the people we expect the least. Okay? And that's the reality of life. The people who will help us the most are the people we expect the least. I remember when I first came to America, 1996, I have a pregnant wife. I'm working in downtown LA. I was borrowing my mother's car. And so we thought, hey, you know what? And my mom is also working. And so, and she needs her car. And I need a car every day because imagine from Chatsworth, I'm traveling from Chatsworth to downtown LA, 154th Street. Okay. If you don't know where 154th Street in LA, just don't go there. Okay? Just don't go there. It's not a good place. It's not a good place. Okay. You park your car in the morning. By the time you go out, there's no more tires. That's how horrible the place is. Okay. When we park our car inside the compound. Nothing. If you go 154th Street downtown LA, you'll notice how come there's no car parked in the streets. It's all clean. That's why, because they clean their car. Anyway, so we decided, okay, let's buy a car, right? So we applied, and they run my credit. They cannot give me a car because it's not that I don't have credit. It's not that I have a bad credit. I just don't have credit. They run a credit bureau, Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. I am a non-existing person. If you're a non-existing person, if your name is not written in any of this, you are a high risk. Even though you're a good person, they won't believe you if you're a good person because you have no credit report. Okay. So to make the story short, we went to several car dealers. Nobody loaned us a car. And so I talked to some families. Siyempre, family, di ba? So I talked to them. So I'll be at Toyota Hammer at this time. And I'm getting a car. And if you could come and help me, I'll pay the car. I'll pay the car. You don't have to worry about it. I have a job. I'll pay the car. All I need is for you to help me get the car. So we were there 8 o'clock. O'clock na. Walang dumarating. And so we have a friend, a close friend. She was barely making life in America. She's a CNA. But she's been in America for, 5 years. And she has credit before. And so, Lisa and I, maybe our friend could help us. I mean, she's not family. She's just a good friend. And so we called her and said, hey, we are in this situation, we need a car. And she told me, dudes, because that's what they called me. Hey, dudes, I'll be there in 5 minutes. I'll just clean out. I'll just check out from my work. I'll just take a half day. That's fine. Half day, and I'll meet you. Of all the people in America that we've known, that's why I have so much respect for CNAs. This person helped us get our first car, and because of that, my name is now in the system. And now I have credit report. I'm telling you, church, the people who we expect the least is very, very same people who will help us the most. Let's learn to reach out. Generally speaking, Jews and Samaritans despise each other. I mean, they're just oil and water. Kontrapelo talaga sila, the Jews and Samaritans. They hate one another. I don't have time to elaborate the history why they hate one another, but they hate one another. The culture gave the Samaritan plenty of reasons to hate the Jewish man and pass right by him, but instead, passing by the Samaritan showed grace to the Jewish man. He didn't wait to be asked, he just went and did. How could you explain that? Racially, culturally, financially, these people are enemies. They hate one another. But at this particular moment, this Samaritan helped a Jewish man and just did it. Let's learn to reach out. And I think the Samaritan also gave freely both his time and resources. He took action, both time and money, are tools in our lives, and sometimes we use them well, and sometimes we use them poorly. Okay, so what are our resources? I repeat, what are our resources in helping one another? We either help with our time or we either help with our money. If we could have both, hallelujah. But if we could have just one of those, that's fine. That's already learning to reach out. Okay. I'd like to share a lot of things about the Samaritan. Let me just take 2 minutes here. Why does the Samaritans and the Jews hate one another? Because when they were a country, Israel, they were divided into three: Galatia, Samaria in the middle, Judea. And then invading countries came because of their disobedience to God. Invading countries came and invaded Israel. Judea, Samaria, and Galilee, they were all invaded. So that's fine. They were under oppressive regime. So that's fine. So where does the story begins when they hated one another? When the opposing army came, the Galileans and the Judeans, they never married. They never married the other countries. Samaria, on the other hand, they welcome and they marry one another. So, in the eyes of Israelites, only the Judea and the Galileans are pure Israel. Samaria, they are already being a crossbreed. They marry the Midianites, they marry any other countries who invade them, they marry them, so they become mixed. So that's why the Bible is very clear. In the Old Testament, you cannot marry other race. That's the teachings of the Mosaic law, and they disobey. That's why the Galileans and the Judeans, they hate the Samaritans. That's the beginning of the story. But in this story, Jesus says, when I came, there will be no more Galileans, there will be no more Judeans, there will be no more Samaritans. We are all one in the Lord. Okay, so let me just wrap this up. Verse 36, which of these three do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robbers? Next word, the Lord replied, the one who had mercy on him. Jesus told him, go and do likewise. Final thought here. So we have the opportunity. Lahat po tayo are all given the opportunity. The second is we must learn to reach out. And the third is we must learn to bridge the gap. As we reflect Jesus to others around us, like the Samaritan did, it won't always be easy. In fact, just like what we saw in our story, it may even cost us time, money, energy, mental effort. But we must be willing to go the extra mile. We must be willing to take the action on behalf of others. We must be willing to take the action on behalf We are given the gifts. All of us are given the gifts. Use that gifts to help others. Use that gift to lift others up. Use that gift to bless others. And I keep on telling that, use what God has given us to encourage one another, to lift one another, to bless one another. But what are some of us are doing, right? We use the gift that God has given us to bless, but we use that gift to discourage people. We use that gift to curse people. We use that gift to hurt people around us. If you haven't heard this, let me just remind you again and again. God gave us gift so we could use that to bless others. I know there will be issues among families, among friends, among communities. Hey, that's normal. We live in an imperfect environment. All of us will have issues one way or another. And that's perfectly fine. But let us settle these differences once and for all. Okay? Settle the differences once and for all. Ano ba ito tumatawag sa akin? Potential spam. Yan, sa'yo. Okay. So, God has blessed us so much, okay? God has blessed a wonderful job, a wonderful place, wonderful families, wonderful whatever God has blessed us. Church, let us use what we have to bless others, okay? Let us be that good Samaritan. That good Samaritan never made the question, ako, ang laki ng magagastos ko dito. It will cost me a lot to help this guy. My time, my money, I'll be delayed, the inconvenience. Imagine I have to give this is already calculated, all these things. But you know what? Out of the abundance of the heart. You know what? And one thing is also very clear here. You can only give what you have. I repeat that. You can only give what you have. This Samaritan, any idea if he's doing good or not? What do you think? This good Samaritan is doing good. Imagine living to a silver. That's equivalent to several months of salaries. So this guy is already doing good. And why is he doing good? Because he learns to reach out. I'm telling you, when God bless us and we bless one another, the blessings runs through. The world around us is less and less place that fosters healthy relationships, and I know that. We will have issues with one another, and I know that. But we must learn to bridge the gap, regardless of what. We must learn to bridge the gap. And finally, be a person with action, willing and able to step into situations as they are presented to you. Move beyond cultural taboos, barriers, move beyond societal hierarchies, move beyond your own bias, okay? Learn to move beyond and learn to bridge the gap. I still have 2 minutes. My first, all of my family is already in the U.S. This was back in 1993. And we were planning of, me also going to America. So I was already working, and so it was tough. I don't know, for one reason or another, it was tough getting a U.S. visa. If you're single, if you're under 25, it's just for one reason or another. It's just so hard to get a U.S. visa. Anyway, for one reason or another, my sister friend happens to be an owner of a manufacturing company here in Texas. He visited the Philippines, and my sister said, "Hey, could you drop by this house and try to meet Jim?" Jim was his name. And so I was a very young guy. I was 23 years old. And so I met this guy, and he said, "Oh, so you were Teresa's brother. So I heard you want to go to the U.S." but you're having a hard time getting a US visa. So you know what? Why don't I help you? That's the exact word. Why don't I help you? Was total stranger. I haven't met him. This is the first time I met him. For one reason or another, my sister just told me to just drop by and you know, meet the person, and we had a talk. You know what? I own this business in Phoenix. I ran this. I don't know if you remember. When there's an earthquake, we have a gas. This is because of Northridge earthquake. Because of Northridge earthquake, whenever there's an earthquake, the gas bulb, there's an automatic shutdown. So it keeps the gas from flowing into the houses, to the buildings when there's an earthquake. And back then, it was not an issue, but after the Northridge earthquake, when there's an earthquake, the gas, remember here in America, the gas is flowing. You just turn on your stove, there's a gas flowing there. You turn on the heater, there's a gas flowing. The water heater, there's a gas. So everything runs in gas. So if there's an earthquake and something went wrong, that gas goes up, and that 90% of all the burns, of all the fires in LA was caused by that gas line. And so they have this, when there's an earthquake, this gas bulb shuts down the gas. And guess what? He runs that company that manufactured that gas valve. That's his business. And so we went to the U.S. Embassy. I was there outside. He was waiting inside. See the naman discrimination, ano? Pero I was there lining up 4 in the morning. He came in at 9 and already went inside. And so by 9 o'clock we met inside. And so the officer said, the immigration officer said, and Jim said, hey, this is my friend Andrew. He's a civil engineer, and I want him to go visit my company in the U.S. Could you give him a U.S. visa? And so the immigration officer looks at me, got my papers. How old are you? 23 years old. Are you working? Yes. How much? How much? Siyempre, 5,000 pesos ang sweldo. So, ito 5,000. You know what happened, right? Get my passport, stamp the date. What does it mean when you get a passport and you stamp the date? What does it mean? That's denied. Okay. If you haven't experienced that, it means you're denied. You're not welcome to America. And so my newly found friend Jim saw this. What is this? Sorry, we cannot give Andrew a visa. Who the hell are you? And he was so mad. Why are you treating him, my friend, like that? I mean, why did it? There was a commotion in that lobby. He was raising up his voice, and then he called the supervisor. The supervisor reviewed it again, and so I'm sorry, Mr. Jim. The officer wasn't even talking to me. He was talking to the gym guy. And they were calling all this. Here's my documents. Here's the company I run, and here's the money I have. Oh, you can have all of this things. Just verify. I just want you to give visa to my friend here, Andrew. Sorry, but we cannot get all of this. Okay. So we talked with the officer. We talked to the supervisor. We talked to the manager. They all say, they cannot give me visa. Finally, the assistant of that consulate came out. What is this commotion, Mr. Jim? I want you to give my friend here a U.S. visa. And so the director said, Mr. Jim, could you talk to me in the other room, please? And so we went to the other room, and he said, Mr. Jim, you've been holding the line since 9:05. It's already almost 12. What kind of problems are you having here? There's no problem. All I wanted to do is give my friend here, Andrew, a U.S. visa. And here's the company I run. I build gas valve for airplane, and everything. Oh, I want you guys. I cannot believe you cannot understand this simple thing. I said. And I was just 23 years old. I was just, wala pa pa naman sa mundo. I was just listening. And he was this guy. Okay. I know if I don't give Andrew a visa, you'll come back here tomorrow, and then tomorrow you'll come back again if I don't give, and then this will last for the next weeks or even months, the director said. Just to stop this nonsense, I'll give Andrew a visa. So you get my passport, and Andrew picked this up a week from now. I've never had that kind of friend. I never even had that kind of a person who have helped me that much. He was not even family. He was not even a friend. He was a total stranger to me. If that person could do that, how much more we who has Christ in us. And all God's people. So, gracious Heavenly Father,